Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live broadcast. My name is Josh, and I am just going to find my own broadcast so that we're set up and good to go. I have to do this every single time, unfortunately. The work is still going on. We had a lot of orders going out, so work is still happening. If you hear some noise, that's what that's all about. It is what it is. We work here. We work here. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the chat. Welcome to day 57 of the document. I have a great conversation today about risk. I thought about this over the weekend and I was inspired over the weekend. And the reason why I was inspired because I was reading back over some of my PMP PMBOK books. If you've ever done the PMP, it's the project management book. It's called PMBOK. It was written by Rita Mulcahy, and I believe she's passed away, I think as far back as 2014 or something. But when it comes to management and risk, she was the best. She was extremely intelligent. Learned a lot from her stuff, and I want to talk a little bit about it because I was thinking about it, was cleaning it out downstairs, and I saw the book, and I went through it a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk about risk. I'm inspired. So that's where we're at today. What's new in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, the weekend? What's happened over the weekend here? Not a whole lot. We had good sales over the weekend across our accounts. Specifically, List Easier Books was hot. It was fire. Lots of sales. My own personal account did well, although I haven't really been listing on it. Although, if you watch my account, you'll see that I put up a Brigham Young photo, a rare one. So that was exciting. But as far as List Easier is concerned, we closed the deal on Friday. That was great news. So we have another 3 Gaylords of inventory or 3 pallets of inventory secured. So the way we did this was we committed to basically everything, more or less, and we are getting it delivered 3 pallets at a time. We would do more if they could handle more, but their warehouse is very busy, and so that's where we're at. So that happened over the weekend. There appears to be more space here. I don't know if it's Spencer or if Super Dave has been working in here over the weekend. Spencer the Oracle is off today. She's taking the day off. And what else? That's about it. Just ship this stuff out. Ship this stuff out. So let's go over some numbers. I see everybody is coming in here. I had a lot of new subscribers to this account too over the weekend. So welcome to all the new people. The document, road to 100 million. $100 million worth of listed inventory is the goal. Where are we with that? We are with 2 accounts on eBay currently, List Easier _records, List Easier _books. If you have an eBay account, go to eBay, heart us as a safe seller, and you can watch our progress. We have a total of 12,778 listings live, and that is across both accounts. We have a total listed value, this is the items that we have up on those 2 accounts, of $313,847.28. We've only been doing this 57 days. That's incredible. It feels longer. It feels like a lot longer because we've been working on the artificial intelligence for so long. And we have a total revenue of $19,250. We're almost at $20,000 revenue. And another big update. We were accepted into the eBay International Shipping Program. That is also incredible. So that gives us access now to international customers. We're not accepted into it. Well, what the hell did they send us the email for?
Only for Canada.
Son of a gun. Never mind. Why did you send us the email? So that's everything that's going on. We had, I think, about 30 days of waiting for verification and blah, blah, blah. And there is, if you guys are interested, there's still one more of the very first swimsuit, Sports Illustrated, in really good condition. 2 went like that. So we listed 2 sold immediately. There's still one more up there, I think, that nobody grabbed yet. But those definitely, we might have made a pricing mistake on those ones. But guys, that's why you got to watch what we're doing. Catch on. Watch what we're doing. Okay. I want to talk about risk. So we always have a topic. This one is about risk. I think understanding risk is a big part of building wealth. And I think a lot of people don't understand risk, or they focus on the wrong risks. So I'm going to talk about how I break down risk. And I learned this way, way a long time ago when I was studying to get my PMP. So risk equals wealth. There are 4 types of risks, or I break them down as 4 types of risks. The first one, we'll start with the smallest risks and we'll move to the biggest ones. The first one is low probability, low impact. So there isn't a real big chance of this happening, but even if it does happen, it doesn't really impact things that much. For example, when I wake up in the morning and I go to my car, let's say I forget my keys. Well, I got to go back inside and get my keys again. So there's a risk that will happen every single day, but it's low because I put my keys in the same place. But if I do forget, the impact is not that big. I just turn around and get them and jump in my car, and that's it. So that's an example of a low impact, low probability risk. That's the first risk. And generally what I do with those types of risks is I accept them. Right? We don't build these big, huge systems so that I don't forget my keys. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't really matter. So we all understand that those low probability, low impact risks, we just accept them and we move on. The second risk is there's a high probability that this will happen, but the impact is low. And this risk, although it's not huge, it's not a big deal because remember, low impact, but still a lot of eBayers focus on this, a lot of YouTubers focus on this, but it's a low impact risk. And what I would consider a low impact but high probability, so a really good chance this is going to happen, but it doesn't really impact you, is returns, refunds, customer complaints, negative feedback, neutral feedback. If you operate long enough and you do this long enough, or you get big enough, you're going to have all those things happen. So that is a high probability that that's going to happen to you, but it doesn't really impact operations. Emotionally, it sucks. But it doesn't, it's the impact on your business is negligible. So what we would do with those is we just try and reduce them. So, customer gets upset. We're like, hey, look, whatever you need, we'll do our best to help you out. You just reduce those risks. You don't do things like eat a peanut butter sandwich while you're packing an item. You don't, get your hair caught up in the tape. And if it isn't caught up in the tape, you don't put that on the package, right? So we're reducing that risk. But a lot of people go nuts over that. I got a negative feedback. You see it in Facebook forums. Rah, 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 rah. At the end of the day, it has no impact on your business. So those are high probability, low impact risks. What do we do with those? We reduce them. Number 3, low probability, high impact. Low probability, high impact. So the chance of this happening is not that big, but if it does happen, I'm screwed. That would be like getting kicked off the platform. So we want to avoid those risks. Something like getting kicked off the eBay platform, there's a very low probability that's going to happen, but if it does happen, it's a huge impact on your business. So we avoid those. We don't sell guns and ammunition on eBay, right? We just avoid it. We don't sell CPAP products on eBay, just avoid it. We don't sell expired baby formula on eBay, all these different things. We want to avoid those risks. It's not worth it. You still see people do it and try and get away with it. You still see people try and list lawn darts and all these. You're not allowed to list those. People still try. That is a low probability, high impact. You want to avoid that. Just don't go there. There's lots of great ways to make money on eBay. Don't accept those low probability, high impact risks. The mitigation there is to avoid. The last one, these are the big doozies, high probability, high impact risks. There's a very good chance this is going to happen and the impact is going to be huge. For me, lately, that's been death. there's a 100% chance I'm going to die. So now that my life has changed dramatically in the past year or two, specifically year, I've been talking more about life insurance and setting up life insurance because I know I'm going to die. And when you know something is going to happen, you transfer the risk. So for me, that's life insurance. So I'm going to die. I know that's going to happen. I'm transferring the risk of my death to someone else because it's going to have a huge impact on my family, my kids, and it's my estate, everything. If there's no money because I wasn't responsible enough to transfer that risk, because I know it's going to happen. So that's a good example of risk transference. And Super Dave is here. Super Dave, myself, and our co-founder, Travis the Brain, we've been going through life insurance for literally 6 months. Dave has a better understanding of insurance because of his background. But this to me was all new. I didn't understand it. It has only become important now that, it's a necessity in my life for where I'm at. So I really felt like I was treading in deep water and I didn't know what was going on. So I understood the risk. There's 100% certainty that this is going to happen. The impact is large. I don't want to accept that risk. I want to transfer that risk to someone else, which would be the insurance company. And in order to do that, I have to pay a premium. Now, this is where it can get interesting because the thing is this is going to get boring, I know, but it's important for business owners. The time that you should be getting it is the time where you don't even think about like dying or anything else. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way, so it's not where this is going. But I kind of wish I would have done this earlier when it would have been cheaper, and now it's a little bit more expensive at this age. But there are ways of creating a policy so that you have these riders on the policy, and that part of the policy converts to whole life, and then that whole life policy becomes an asset. So not all of your premiums are just going to waste in case that you don't ever use your life insurance policy, which you will, of course, at some point in time, but it also creates an asset. It gets complicated. It's not what I want to talk about. But this is how risk is directly correlated with wealth, because wealthy people understand that there will be an impact after their death. They don't leave it to chance. They create the systems and put these systems in place to deal with the estate after they pass away, because they know there's a 100% chance that it's going to happen. So high probability, high impact risk. Transfer those risks. Transfer those risks over. And I am going to continue to look for these high probability, high impact risks, and now do my best to transfer them elsewhere. So anyway, that's that. Those are the 4 risks. But if you understand risk, you will understand wealth, because a lot of people will take low probability, high impact bets, and it will wipe you out. So for example, some random meme coin or penny stocks, or and I've done it myself, or you're gambling, you're casino, all this other stuff. Like the probabilities are low, but the impact of losing everything is high. So understanding risk, wealthy people, successful business owners, they do their best to avoid, transfer, mitigate, or reduce these risks. Whereas most people don't understand it. Most people don't understand risk. You have to understand risk. It's very important, especially as you grow your business. So those are my points on risk and why risk is so important. And I also do want to say that most people focus on these high probability, low impact risks. Who cares if you get a return? It doesn't matter. It's cost of doing business. Move on. But the high impact, high probability risks, like I don't want to deal with that. But it's going to happen. I know I am driving a 2012 Ford Escape right now. I know the car is going to break down very soon. High probability, high impact, because I need 2 cars. So that is an immediate risk. I will have to get a new car. I've been putting it off. I know this is 100% chance this thing doesn't run in 6 months. So that is like an immediate thing that needs to be dealt with. High probability, high impact. Okay. What do you guys think about risk? We don't talk about risk enough, I don't think. Now that we've talked about it, I don't need this anymore. Okay, everybody. Hello, Steve Ash. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Primo Chemo first, and Primo has a live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Should be talking about some interesting things with his wife, Spam Banshee. Check it out. James and Bridget live after this. Snoopy Collector shooting the blood. Spurting blood. The arterial hand blood. Says hello. Good to see you, Snoopy. Flip It Good says hello. Happy Monday. Rob Special Interest says hello. James Helfer says, what up, B? Or what be up? James, good to see you. JR Rodeffer, Hola Josh, made it to a live on time. Good to see you, JR. Good morning, everyone, says Lucky Finds. Amy G from North Carolina says hello, hello, hello. Good to see you, Amy. Welcome, welcome. That's a new name. Welcome to the podcast. JR Rodeffer says, weird shipping tip of the day. Rather than throwing out the 6x4 backing paper from Dymo or Rollo, use it to fill the void on a small or light packages. You are welcome. I used that for something else recently. I think I used it to back a label or something that I sold. But yeah, I don't throw those out either. So good call on that. Lag says hello. Good to see you, Lag. Lag's changed the icon, the photo icon. Missy B says good morning. Good morning to you, Missy B. Rob Special Interest says the UK can see list easier records. Rob is building a UK empire over there. Rob is going to dethrone the monarchy and replace it with list easier stuff. Buckingham Palace is going to be his warehouse soon. He is dominating the UK. James says there's a risk of pooping your pants as you get older. Definitely there is. M. Cole says, hey, Josh, good to see you, M. Cole. Welcome, welcome. Joe says, howdy, all. Joe, welcome. Charlie Lou Coin says, good Monday morning, Josh and chat. Charlie, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like says, I get scanned by customers multiple times a year. I don't even fight it anymore. It's not worth my time. Exactly, exactly. Your time is more valuable than theirs. Right? That sounds bad, right? But when it comes to that kind of one-off interaction, your time is more valuable than theirs. I learned this the hard way, Lag, that a customer scorned has endless amounts of energy to fight you. They will just go and go and go and go. So it's better to just off-ramp them as quickly as possible. Like just try and make it go away because it will just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. The best example of this accelerating to a crazy point was someone who was on Scott's Live a few years back was so upset with the transaction. I think UPS left a parcel at the door next to his, so the neighbor's house. This had all escalated to the point that he was writing letters to Jamie Iannone over this. So, it's best to like offload or off-ramp these customers if they get upset or you get a negative or whatever. Do your best, but if it doesn't work out, don't take too much mental energy away because they will go to the umpteenth degree. They'll never give up. So what would that be? We got to go look at our thing. That would be risk. The second one. Risk reduction. Lag. Rob says that James is talking from experience. M. Cole says, any update to include minimum auto-accept offers to the listings? Getting crazy low offers daily. For now, M. Cole, just think of those crazy low offers as activity on your items, which shows the eBay algorithm that people on site are interested. It's all being worked on. Like I said, we have a big back-end push that's going to go live. I am not going to give a timeline on that because I don't know myself, but that is priority number one. Things like auto accept and these kind of minimum best offers, I think those will be easier to incorporate once we get this infrastructure built. The way I can kind of illustrate it is, if you want to build a skyscraper, you have to build a really strong foundation. So something like that is like, hey, when is the third floor getting built? We're still building the foundation out. And that is really the UK right now. The UK needs its finishing touches. We need the chef's kiss on that. But it's coming. All these things are coming. They're all in our own roadmap. but we need to get the base built. Kenneth Oros says, good morning. Good morning to you, Kenneth. Welcome, welcome. Lag says, I place a high probability on the prediction markets that I eat pancakes today. Nice. Andy Reno says, what's going on, everybody? I'm here for life insurance. You know, this, I'm telling you, I'm talking about this life insurance thing because it took like 6 months. Like, I had to have a nurse at the house and like fill out all these biographies, and they were like deep diving into our wealth and all this other stuff and the business and what businesses do and all this stuff. But I did, touch base with friends of mine who I consider them much more successful than I am. And they all carry insurance, and they're like, why don't you? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I haven't really thought of it. Like, it's like one of those things that I don't like to discuss, or even, I think of like home insurance where you would get a flood in the basement, and then they think of every single reason why they can't insure you. Like, they're like, oh no, we updated your policy. It doesn't include anything except for the devil possessing the basement. Like, just stupid stuff like that. So I never trusted it. So I never really thought of it, but it's important and it's essential. Spam Banshee says, aloha, aloha to you. And I'm not selling this stuff, but when you get to a certain, the problem is a lot of your success comes later on in life because things take time. Like, there are no magic bullets usually. It takes time to accrue things, build your knowledge, but you kind of need this stuff when you're younger and healthier. As you get older, it gets more difficult. So even my son, when his schooling contributions are complete, I'm going to transfer him over to an insurance policy plan, a whole life plan that creates a wealth benefit and death tax benefit for him down the line. Lax's risk strategy is one of my favorite things about business. I can take any risk I want, but I have to hedge the strategies. Yeah, exactly. Even in investing, you think risk. A lot of people will swing for the fences on high risk strategies, but they're like, no, the outcome's going to be huge. You get blind to the outcome and you ignore the risk. But even in investing, you have to be extremely mindful of risk. And I think I'm at the age now where I need to manage risk. Like, number one, when it comes to wealth, it's risk management at this point. J.R. Rodeffer says, risk is relative. Each business must know the level of acceptable risk that you are willing to accept, but sometimes you have to take the shot. You can always take the shot, but you can manage the risk, as you said. Okay, here's a good example of a big risk. When we were committing to this inventory, the deal kind of like, we bought the first one, but once we started talking to them, they're like, take it all, commit to everything. And the conversation we're having here is, if this stuff turns out not to be great, then it's a low probability, high impact. Like, it could bury us. So let's get a few pallets here. Let's get our eyes on it and see what we have, and then we'll commit to the rest. That's what we did. So that's us mitigating the risk. We're not accepting a low probability, high impact event. We are making it a low probability, low impact event by just kind of breaking it down. Once we saw it, now we commit and we say, okay, we are ready. We can do more. We're committing to the rest of it. So I think take your shot for sure, but do a little bit of risk management. And you have to do this, especially as you get bigger, because when you're really small, a lot of risks can be low impact. So that, you start up an account, you lose the account, you do something else. Like, the business is so small, it's not a huge impact. But when you start building your business and grow and get bigger and bigger, you don't want to accept these monster risks. B-Nude says, good morning. Good morning to you. Eric Bressy says, what's up, everybody? What's up, Barrick? Venus says, let's hope Iran is settled rapidly and things could really go to pot fast. I stay out of that stuff. That's all politics. I mean, it's always going to be something. So I can't control it. There's a risk. See what I did there of that happening? But I can only control my own future. Nothing I say or do or worry about as far as that is concerned has any impact on that event. So I stay focused. We talk about it, but I have to remain focused. I have to stay in my lane. This is my life. This is my goal. Diane Vanderlinden says, hey, good to see you, Diane. E-Buyer's Choice is back. Hello, finally caught alive. Good to see you. Beanut says, I don't have stuff in my house because of insurance. I can completely negate the homeowner's insurance by having hordes of stuff in the house. We see this in videos. People, yes, they have a lot of stuff in the house. But, if you don't declare that, yeah, it is a risk. And if it starts a fire or something and they find out about it, that you have all this stuff lying around, it's very possible that they will not insure you. So that's a big risk for sure. Better to have that stuff in outbuildings and offsite. Pete, the Craigslist hunter, is a big proponent of this. He goes, even just for your mental clarity, get it offsite. As soon as you can, get that business offsite. And then you have your business there and you have your house here. Separate the two, even if it's a garage or it's an outbuilding or something. We all start in the house, but the goal is to get it out of the house. Diane Vanderlinden says, my goal is to sell everything before hurricane season. Nice. Eric Bresci says, got you in the 43-inch office TV in 4K now. Ha. I don't even know if I'm broadcasting in 4K. I think I'm probably only broadcasting in, 2K? I don't really know. I shaved and my face is a little bit red. Beanut says they won't pay out. Insurance will not pay. I went through it at my old house. I had a yard sale and code enforcement came. When I first started doing storage units, so I was doing storage units in and out of storage units. I had a ton, but then I was bringing stuff home too, where it'd be like, oh my gosh, this stuff is really good. And I'd bring a van load to my house, or bring it downstairs. A bad idea. But I had to at the time. And the neighbors called the town on me. And the town came by with a law enforcement officer. I had no idea what was going on until they came into my backyard, looking through the windows. And I'm like, can I help you? And it told me what was going on. I'm like, no, nothing like this happening here. Coppercat says, hello from Arkansas. Made it late. Have to catch up on the replay. Thank you for stopping by, Coppercat. I appreciate you. Time to Sell Collectible says, insurance. What is the risk and cost to do it over? The only thing that cannot be replaced is life, 100%. If you can afford it, you can always replace, rebuild, and do it again. And if you have enough time. So the way I think of it is like this. Time to Sell Collectibles. Make up a number. But if I were to pass away, which is 100% probability that that's going to happen, it would have such a dramatic impact on my family. They'd lose a house. Like, just you can name it all going down the line. I want them, as we all do, not to suffer the same struggles that I had. And that's one way I can do that, while I'm still alive. So the two options kind of are calamity versus a structured handoff, I guess. So that's my line of thinking with that. As long as the costs are reasonable with the premiums, I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a life insurance thing, but it's just something that it's been going on and on and on for 6 months. It's for whatever reason, Dave, this is something we have talked more about insurance than almost anything. It's like a daily topic. He's laughing and nodding his head. Neighbors are so great, said Diane. That's exactly it. They called for sure. Yeah. He's bringing junk in his house. I want to know what's going on. Eric Bresci says, I am also looking into a 12 by 24 shed that I can put next to my house. It will fill up quickly, but it's a start. Yeah, it's the start. Exactly. I know a lot of people too, Eric. I don't know how expensive it is near you, but will get like a 10 by 30 storage unit. If you can get climate controlled, great. But even not climate controlled, it gets cold in Ohio, but even something like a storage unit. I worked out of storage units for a long, long time. And even pack and plays, or I call them pack and plays, but it's like partial office and then it's got a storage unit attached to it. But if you have something like that near the house, it's pretty awesome also, as long as it's not too pricey. There was a time here where I had like 6 storage units running. I was playing like a shell game with storage units where I was negotiating with the storage company that if I could have a unit for free for a month if I could get someone in that unit signed to a contract. So I was filling units up with stuff, and then I would sell the unit on Facebook Marketplace and then negotiate with the buyer, say take it for $500, but you're not going to get all this stuff out. I would take, I'd sign with the storage company at least for a month. So I was playing that sort of game where I was getting free rental and signing people to storage units. It was something else. There's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Lag says, I always leave a percentage of capital for taking large risks. Swing for the fences with those funds. I don't want to take large risks. I want to take small risks. I love the idea, almost to the point of romanticizing it, of this. It's like climbing a set of stairs and you just take one step at a time. I don't want to take the elevator to the top. I want to take every single step, learn every single step as I go, which we are doing. And just this disciplined daily movement, we're seeing compounding returns. For example, the document. We've been doing this for 57 days. We're already at 20,000 or 19,000 in gross revenue. This will look like a bell curve going up as time goes on. I think the disciplined approach is the way to go. There have been there have been times where I've taken big risks and it's worked out, but there have been times too where I've taken big risks and I got wiped out. I can officially say I've taken multiple 7-figure losses in my life. Legit. A lot of that was risk management problems, to be fully honest with you. Or greed. Beanut says, basically speaking, there's the home, but there are neighbors. If an adversary happens to say the fire department is involved, those neighbors and their insurance can sue and will win. I agree. But I mean, here's the thing too. So we manage the risk, we reduce the risk, we avoid the risk, or we transfer the risk, but we cannot only be focused on the risks either, right? So we want this to be quick judgment. What are the risks? What is it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you can do all your risk management in a SWOT analysis. Once you identify the risks, you quickly define how to negotiate your way through it, what kind of risk it is, and then how you work past it. That's it. No dwelling on it. No, you do not want the risk itself to be your number one focus unless you're full-time in risk management. We're business owners. We have to move forward. So for me, the time is spent identifying the risk, finding out which risk it is, and then we move forward, and that's it. Where Pigs Fly Farm, Cindy says, for those who live in the country, I highly recommend cargo trailers. Nice. In Missouri, they sell for $2,500 to $3,000. I currently have 4 of them full. Yeah, cargo trailers. I've heard people using sea containers. Quonset huts are cheap, relatively speaking, because you can set them down on gravel. I like the idea of a warehouse. So I like the idea of growing into something like this. Like this makes me happy. I don't come into feeling like it's disorganized or chaos like I do with my own business. And I still think my business is pretty well organized, but that's the business, my own WHS Stereo View. If you were to ask me, what do you have to do, Josh, to scale WHS Stereo View 10x from where you are now? I would say you got to rip the whole thing down and rebuild it, because structurally it can't. Like, it can't. Because I would need to hire people, and already there's a huge problem. It's just not organized. I know where the stuff is. I've had to move it a bunch of different times. I don't lose things, but if I'm not there, that whole thing is a disaster. So for me to scale that up 10x, it's got to look more like this. Now, if I were Super Dave is here, I said, Super Dave, what do we got to do? Super One, I'll get the microphone. Super One, what do we have to do to scale this 10x? He's probably going to say just need time, because the systems are all here. Time, maybe space, but there's already a plan for that. That's the right position to be in. So it's built properly from day one. Lag's gotten swatted recently. That's no fun. No, that is no fun. Lou Coins, Charlie says, I had a warehouse built on a 9-acre farm 4 miles from my home. Win-win. That is awesome. Congratulations, Lou. Yeah, so see, that must be nice to come to. It's all organized. You know where all the stuff is. Do you have employees, Lou? Just don't leave the coins there. Missy says, to Cindy, we bought an 8.5 by 24 car hauler to hold stuff. Just need to make it work now. Nice, nice. B-Nude says that everything sits in a friend's storage operation. That's awesome. Like says, applied game theory strategies. It's almost intuitive in business. Yeah, I would agree with that. I say that part of being in business is always thinking multiple steps ahead, as Lag is mentioning. If you are a reactive person, that becomes difficult. So if problems all of a sudden show up and surprise you, you are the victim of this. Why did this happen? And you react emotionally. You got to recognize that, and then that becomes a ceiling. That's a barrier to you. Now you got to be like, okay, how do I react logically? That's difficult sometimes. It's difficult sometimes. It's difficult in customer service, let me tell you, sometimes, because people come in hot. I should do this button up. I'm sorry, I don't like having it open like that. I feel like I'm at the beach, or, I feel like I'm the Fonz. Fonzie. Charlie's got employees. Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, as business owners, do you all think, what does my business look like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? I think if you're a business owner and you are using AIs like ChatGPT or Gemini, you should be having these conversations. Like, all of you, I believe, should have long business strategy discussions with ChatGPT, discussing, where you are and what you're doing, and then ask it to be ruthless and say, where are my bottlenecks? What's the problem here? And it will tell you, because it's heard it and seen it a million times before. It definitely, having those discussions with Gemini and ChatGPT has upped my game a bit, and it's helped me understand things that have been big bottlenecks for me, including life insurance. Guys, I hate to go back to this, but I'm like, I hate this. I hate the conversations I'm having about it. I hate that every time I look at it, I can't figure it out. It sounds like it should be super simple, but the way it's structured, it's weird. It's like, everything about it bothered me, and I just kept going back to it and going back to it. But just having these conversations with the LLMs helped me understand it. And, now I think I've got a handle on it and I know what I need. Whereas, before I felt like I was being oversold. Amy G from North Carolina says, hey, Fonzie. Thomas says, I have all my stuff stored in a closed strip club, so I have a backup plan in case eBay shuts me down. They just open up the strip club again. Nice. Lag says, what type of life insurance are you leaning towards? So I'm signed almost. It is my policy is it's a $5 million life insurance policy, paid monthly. It's a 30-year term, so it'll expire when I'm 77 years old. But I'm going to take 1 million of that in the future, in the short future, and convert that into a whole life policy. And that whole life policy, I think, will be paid over 10 years, which will be part of my death benefit, which will be non-taxable. So that's what I'm leaning towards. And then also for my son, getting a 10-year, $1 million whole life insurance policy. So that has cash value in 10 years. It will accrue like an asset. And then also for my daughter, but she's got to get a little bit older. So once they're both fully contributed in their savings plans for school, then I'll convert them over to the policies. So that's what it is. But basically, spending a ton of money on life insurance in the next 5 years or so. But I do think they're safe vehicles now that I understand it. What was being sold to us was this super expensive, super complicated instrument with all these promises that we never understood. We couldn't explain it to each other. And we finally figured out, we're like, okay, this is not what we want. By the kind that if you have a clinical death experience and you come back, you get paid. Nice. I have a friend of mine who is having some pretty severe health problems, and it came out of nowhere. And you're like, I'm not getting any younger. Not getting any younger. I need to think of this. I always never really wanted to talk about death or anything because I'm like, oh, I don't even want to think about it. It's almost like if you think about it, you summon it. So let's talk about emotional responses, right? But I'm like, no, I got to seriously deal with this. This is something that is going to have an impact, and I need to be old and mature enough about it that I have to take care of it because it's only going to get harder for me to get as I get older. I don't have an infinite amount of time anymore. J.R. Rodeffer says, when my kids were grown and on their own, and my wife was good financially without me, I switched from life insurance to gold and silver mining stocks and held very long term. Yep, insurance policies. I rolled up the rim. I lost. I've never won one yet this year. Insurance policies. It's different in Canada because you can structure it as part of estate planning. So when you die and the insurance pays out, there's no taxes on it. As opposed to everything else where there's capital gains or there's taxes on it. You can also convert partially to whole insurance in Canada. We're losing everybody. I think no one's going to watch this and be like, well, insurance, don't care. That's how I felt too. But you can use it for tax planning in Canada as well. And I believe also in the United States. Everybody I know that's, way up there compared to where I am, they all have versions of this stuff. And I just had to take the time to learn it. That's it. Binut says that my wife's aunt just passed. She was a nun. I'm sorry to hear that. Lou is 70. I'm sorry to hear that, Benudes. We go there every week and visit the nuns, so we're going to keep doing that. Fair enough. Eric says, regarding death, I checked Facebook this morning and saw a former colleague passed away at 33 due to cancer. Cancer sucks. Yeah, it does. It's brutal. But it's going to happen. Like 100% chance it's going to happen to every single one of us. Alexis, I don't know anyone that ever got a large life insurance payout. I do. I know a lot of people that do or have. And sometimes it's hidden, honestly, because, here's the thing. Your ordinary average person doesn't carry a huge life insurance policy. So, and the most people that have some sort of life insurance policy, it very quickly will take care of the mortgage and the funeral costs and everything else, and then it's all gone. So the people that carry these big policies, wealthy people who carry these big policies, you just think of it that's a trust fund baby. Like when their kids are running around doing their things, like, oh, that's a trust fund baby. That person comes from money. You don't even think about the fact that there is someone behind the scenes structuring all this so that they're pulling the risk out of the system. Um, you see athletes, for example. A lot of athletes lose everything because they never manage it properly. They get the checks coming in and they're buying cars, huge houses, all this and everything else. But old money builds the structure around the money to protect it and take the risk out of the system. Diane says, my friend started a band called Death. It made him famous, but he passed so young. He didn't have health insurance. That's another thing with the US, specifically is health insurance. It's a whole other thing. A lot of people watching this don't even have health insurance, but that's a whole other thing in the United States. Which I think a lot of resellers have, not a lot, but some have a member in the family who's working a job where they have this health insurance that covers the benefits for everybody, but health insurance is a big one. When I left my job, in the city, I gave up my dental benefits, and even that was noticeable because now all of a sudden kids need braces and everything else. That's coming out of pocket. Chuck Schuldina. I don't know who that is. Yes, Glenn. Oh, so you're saying who the band member is. See my lady's hubby passed in his 40s, glioblastoma. Yeah, that's a dangerous one. That was in part along with disassembling my business life online that made for many changes. Glenn said, so sad, one of my favorites, Chuck Schuldiner. I had never heard of him, but I'm sorry for his passing. So yeah, that's the talk on risk. And for me, a lot of it is now structuring my estate, even though I'm still young. Also, like, it's almost spring. I shouldn't say this before everything is signed, but I will be getting my pilot's license this year. So I would like to have some just in case. You want to talk about that for a bit? I'm a little bit terrified still of heights. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm trying to get over it, but I'm a little bit, especially in the small planes, like the little Skyhawks, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not super comfortable. So I don't know if that's something I have to get over, but those small planes are terrifying. You can hear the doors rattling on them when you're flying them. Everything is VFR, so visual flight rules. Your head is on a swivel looking for traffic, listening. So I should probably have some insurance for that as well. Upper 60s, 70s degree this week. That's awesome. Eric, hit the like button. Thank you, Eric. Lexus health insurance here sucks. I got $2,000 monthly premium with $17,000 deductible for me and my mom. It's getting nuts here. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, it seems like there's no great solution. I don't want to get into the politics of it all, but private health insurance down there, it's like basically huge deductibles, and you got to be careful. Is it in or out of network? And you have to be sure that you're going to places that are in and out of in network. And you have to be sure that the procedures actually are covered by the insurance. And it's this whole game. And it's not things you think of when you're in an emergency. And, here in Canada, I waited 9.5 hours for an x-ray sitting there. And that's not ideal either, because there are people with like real right now emergencies, like I can't breathe, my chest hurts, all this other stuff, and they're waiting for hours and hours and hours for a very simple procedure. So I don't have the answers, but it sucks. Eric Bressi says, Josh, I'm terrified of heights. My worst fear is going up in elevators past the 12th floor. I freeze. Eric, I used to be. Beanut says, yeah, there you go. A pilot who's afraid of heights. You go. Look, I used to be, Eric. When I was younger, I was terrified of heights. And then as I got into my career, I started working on projects where we had something called a tower crane. So you probably see those tower cranes in your local city doing work. And I used to have to do stuff like scrape the ice off the tower crane, or we put Christmas lights on them, or I would go up and down, bringing stuff up to the crane operator. And with our company, if we were not doing any underground work, they would put us on high-rise projects. So I could be on the 56th story of a building and then going up in the crane and then going out on the boom with an ice scraper scraping the ice off the crane, because the ice chunks would fall down onto the street. And you could feel this thing going like this, up, back and forth and up and down. And, in like -5 or -10, it's terrifying. You're just like, what do you do? I can't, like, what do you do? I hate it. And I think, but being in that environment kind of got it out of me a little bit. But maybe it's just not trusting, the machine. Like, these planes are old. They're like 40 or 50 years old. If it's in a jet, I feel a lot better, with modern avionics. I'm like, this thing feels safe. I feel great about it. But the older planes that you learn on, I don't like them. They don't feel safe. So, Eric, I think the best way to do it is just face it, and eventually you just get over it, But even to this day, I would never really live in an apartment building. I don't feel comfortable in the upper floors. I just not relaxing for me. Diane says, yes, Glenn, we had a falling out. When he got sick, I thought I could have married him to get him on my health insurance. I speak with Paul Masvidal now and again. That's interesting. Coppercat says, what people forget, there are many ways people die young outside of health. For example, car wrecks. Definitely. Anything can happen. Lou Coyne says, my father built experimental planes as a hobby, president of an EAA chapter. That is awesome. That's super cool. Don't get me wrong. I love to fly. Any chance I have, I'm taking it. So I've done a bunch of discovery flights. I love it up there. I love the instrumentation. I love to have my hands on the controls. Just the older planes, when you're flying VFR, and I know that's what you got to start as, it just doesn't feel, it's a whole different ball game. And it's not always just you, it's the other people too. So when you're at a small airport and you're in this little plane, your head is on a swivel, but someone may not be communicating over the radio. They don't technically have to, they should. And you'll see a plane, come underneath you 500 feet or 1,000 feet who never communicated. You have to always have your head on a swivel. So it's in the jets, it's the modern avionics. You can see the radar, you can see where everyone is, you can see their altitude. You're in constant communication with air traffic control. You're generally flying using instrument rules. I prefer that. Lags just get scared if they come up to ground level. That's funny. Lag is basement dweller. Yes, B Noons. Okay, we are going to wrap up soon. J.R. Rodeffer says, step-up valuation makes inheritance plans interesting. Definitely. Luke Coyne says, that is what pre-flight checks are for. I agree. And you know what? When you do the pre-flight checks, I appreciate the people I know who are experienced pilots. They will do their pre-flight checks audibly. So, like, I'll sit with them and they are doing their flight checks. They're telling me, and I don't really know what they're talking about, but they audibly do it so they don't miss anything. And I think that is great due diligence. But something about VFR just doesn't feel the same. I don't know, Lou. Time to Sell Collectible says, served 23 years in the United States Air Force for long-term benefits. That's awesome. Pension and health insurance. Worked 17 more years to get the second pension and maximize retirement contributions. Retired and starting to buy rental properties. That is the way. I have a pension as well, but I don't qualify for until 55. I just have a feeling that in this country it's going to get taxed away. Diane says it must be cool to actually fly a plane. Wow. So, Diane, the most exciting part of flying is really landing, I think, in my experience. Takeoff a little bit, but not so much. But landing is the most exciting part because you might have to crab the airplane or stuff like that. The flying part is, it's like put your hands on the controls. So your controls, and I'm holding the controls, but you don't really have to do anything. And then I let go again, and I put it back to the instructor or to the pilot. So the flying part is I can actually say, yes, I'm flying this aircraft, but I haven't done anything. I didn't do any of the pre-flight, no takeoff, no landing. The landing, I think, is really where your skill comes into play. Because there's a lot going on there, especially if you have crosswinds. Bina says that is where the money is at in the pensions. Yeah, pension is especially if you have a defined benefits pension. So if it's contributed mostly by your employer, and that's primarily with government jobs that have that is a nice benefit to have. So I think teachers, police, fire, military. Diane Vanderlinden says it makes sense as far as the flying is concerned. Okay, I'm going to get out of here so that you can all go to Primo Chemo's channel. Check it out. They're going to have an interesting conversation. We ran the gambit. We talked about flying, death, insurance, and risk. So everyone, thank you for joining me today. We'll be back again tomorrow. Take care, and we